Welcome back. Well, we are entering day 10 of the government shutdown, and Democrats and Republicans are deadlocked over how to reopen the government, as another round of votes failed yesterday on the Senate floor. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, however, is suggesting that his party is exactly where it wants to be, telling Punchbowl News, quote, "Every day gets better for us," as the doors stay shut in Washington. Schumer doubled down on the remarks on the Senate floor yesterday. Watch.
Each day, our case to fix health care and end the shutdown gets better and better, stronger and stronger, because families are opening their letters, showing how high their premiums will climb if Republicans get their way.
Vice President J.D. Vance responded on X, writing this, quote, "Better for Schumer, worse for Americans? What a vile sentiment from an alleged leader in our country." Joining me now is Louisiana Congressman and House Majority Leader Steve Scalise. Leader Scalise, great to see you this morning. Thank you so much for joining us.
Always great to be with you. Thanks for having me, Maria.
Your reaction to this back and forth with Schumer saying the Democrats are better off as the government is shut down?
Yeah, what a twisted measuring stick Chuck Schumer has, that he's doing better when American people are suffering. And think about who those American people are who are suffering during Chuck Schumer's government shutdown. It's our men and women in uniform, our military men and women. It's TSA agents. It's any federal workers that are missing their paychecks because Chuck Schumer decided to have a tantrum to appease his far-left radical base. That's what this shutdown's all about. It's why 7 times Schumer has voted against a bill just to keep government funded at current levels. And Chuck Schumer's voted for those same levels himself before as recently as March. And so he's trying to, be concerned about AOC beating him in a primary. He's less concerned about the harm he's inflicting on American people. And if you think a good day for you is only when there is a bad day for millions of American families, maybe you've lost your way.
Well, I mean, look, this is going on and the standoff continues. It's likely to last certainly into next week with the holiday underway. The Senate's not coming back till Tuesday. It could impact Thanksgiving travel as well. How long do you expect this to go on?
Well, I think when 5 more Senate Democrats come to their senses, Maria, you've got only three Senate Democrats, 99% of House Republicans voted to pass the bill out of the House. It passed. 99% of Democrats voted to shut the government down in the House. It's over in the Senate. All we need is 5 more Democrats to join with Republicans, and the bill goes to President Trump's desk and is signed, and this shutdown ends. We still have big differences, by the way, big differences that we can negotiate between now and November 21st. It's only a short-term bill initially, but Chuck Schumer's blocking even that because he just wants to show the most radical elements of the Democrat Party that are about to elect a socialist in New York that he's fighting Donald Trump because they are still upset with the results of the election from last year. Donald Trump won the presidency to get this country back on track, and he's doing that. You can see all the things around the world, including peace in the Middle East, for goodness sake. And Trump is doing his job. I wish Chuck Schumer was doing his.
Let me get your take on what's underway with China, Congressman, because the Senate voted last night to add both the Biosecure Act and the Fight China Act to the National Defense Authorization Act. Both measures would block federal funding for certain Chinese biotech companies. It would also ban U.S. investments into sensitive Chinese sectors like the military and things like that. Last year's version of the Biosecure Act was dropped from the final defense policy bill over concerns about naming specific companies. I do think this is in response to what China is doing to the United States, and that is tightening the export controls on rare earth minerals. So this fight is getting deeper. Your reaction?
Well, it's a really important move, Maria. We came close last year in the NDAA, as you pointed out, to getting that amendment passed. There were some members who had concerns with how it was structured, so the amendment got restructured, but it gives the administration the ability to block certain Chinese companies. And look, China has said they'll even use biotech as a weapon against their enemies. Well, biotech, look at what happened at the Wuhan lab. I mean, This is a concern we need to have. We did this, by the way, a few years ago with technology companies. You know, you think about Huawei and ZTE, some of the big companies that you route a lot of your data through when you send text messages. Most people don't realize a lot of that was going through Chinese companies, and the Chinese Communist Party was getting access to the data of Americans. Our Defense Department was even using some of those systems, and we finally blocked that. This is one more step to protect America's national security.
Well, you've got a lot of levers to pull here on the economic side. I mean, China is obviously digging in. They're trying to get more leverage going into this meeting with President Trump and Xi Jinping, which is expected on October 31st on the sidelines of the APEC summit. And they're doing it now, 3 weeks before that meeting. You could be talking about removing Chinese companies from U.S. exchanges, putting bans on, investors putting money into Chinese companies that are tied to the military. Are you considering what else to do to stop China from this aggression?
Yeah, and you've seen this over and over, with companies like TikTok that collect the data from millions, hundreds of millions of American people, especially our young people, in ways that even those people don't even realize the Chinese Communist Party is getting access to their data. So we've continued to take steps to counter China's aggression. China goes after us in many different ways. You saw them buying land near military bases and other secure locations. So we've got to stay on pace with them. They're being very, very aggressive. I'm glad President Trump is standing up to China and all the bad guys around the world. If you want to be an adversary of the United States, this is not a good time to do it.
Meanwhile, pressure is mounting on House Speaker Mike Johnson to reconvene the House and vote on a standalone military pay bill. Troops are expected to miss their paychecks. Next week, they're going to miss certainly October 15th, when they were supposed to get paid. Trump told reporters that the bill will probably happen as it gains momentum in the House. Congressman, what are your expectations?
Well, it's a shame, though, that we're at this point. We passed a bill weeks ago, over 3 weeks ago in the House, that would have paid our military troops, and 99% of Democrats voted no. And some of those Democrats are having buyer's remorse. Many of them who voted against paying our troops are now begging Speaker Johnson to come back and try to get a do-over. The problem is that bill's now in the Senate, and it's Senate Democrats who are blocking troop pay and pay for everybody else. And all they need to do, 5 Democrats need to come to their senses and even go around Chuck Schumer. You've got a lot of these Democrats that are up on the ballot next year, and in states like Georgia and other states that are not far left, radical New York type states. I hope they come to their senses, but troop pay is at stake. So many other things are at stake, including our national security, if Democrats continue to keep the government shut down just because Chuck Schumer wants to have a tantrum and try to protect his political future in the state of New York, which is in peril regardless of this.
Well, all of this fighting between the Republicans and Democrats on these subsidies is looking like real small potatoes, given what President Trump has just achieved. The president is heading to Israel this weekend after securing a historic peace deal between Israel and Hamas. Hamas now will have 72 hours to release all 48 hostages, living or dead. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff just posted this on X moments ago. He says, CENTCOM has confirmed that the Israeli Defense Forces completed the first phase withdrawal to the Yellow Line at 12 p.m. local time. The 72-hour period to release the hostages has begun. Congressman, we've got incredible live pictures of Gaza where you see the lineup of people trying to get out. Your reaction to all of this?
Maria, this is nothing short of just an amazing accomplishment of many that President Trump has achieved. I mean, President Trump is the peace president. He's proven once again that he can bring very different sides together. I mean, bringing Palestinians and Israelis together after, we're marking the 2-year anniversary of Hamas's invasion of Israel, where they brutally murdered and took hostages in Israel, still holding some of those hostages. Sadly, we know that some of those hostages may not still be alive, but those families want closure. Those families want to hopefully see their loved ones return alive, but even if they're not, they need that closure. And President Trump has achieved it. He vowed from day one he would get the hostages returned, and he's worked relentlessly to get to this day. And it's why you have people, even on the left, saying that he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, if Nobel wants to restore what used to be a once dignified prize, they can restore their credibility by awarding President Trump the Nobel Peace Prize. He's earned it. He's done more than any leader in the world in years to bring peace throughout the world, especially in the Middle East.
Look at these live pictures that we're looking at in Gaza right now, Congressman. People are lined up and on the move in Gaza. Is there an expectation of how Gaza will be governed post this conflict?
Well, hopefully the people of Gaza will no longer choose a terrorist organization to govern their territory. And that was the problem you had before. Hamas was a terrorist organization that was a proxy of Iran. They need to move on and try to elect somebody who's going to actually try to achieve peace, try to get a two-state solution, which is still available if they will agree to stop trying to kill Jews. And that's been the breaking point for so long. But there's dancing in the streets in so many of those countries because President Trump did what so few have been able to do over decades and decades.
Well, you're right, and it's incredible that President Trump was able to negotiate a deal that does not include a two-state solution because there was a lot of debate. Why would you give a state to terrorists? But, Congressman, on the point about the Nobel Peace Prize, I agree with you. What President Trump has done here, not just Gaza and Israel, but also all of the wars that he was able to end. Do you think maybe that the reason that the Nobel Committee did not give it to him is because you had to get the application in and before January 31st, and that was only 11 days into President Trump's second term? So we didn't really know that he was about to. Yeah.
They could play technicalities. They gave it to Barack Obama for just getting elected president. There was no achievement there. Prime Minister Netanyahu has nominated him. My colleague Claudia Tenney has formally gone through the process to nominate President Trump. And so there's a formal nomination in. The bottom line is, what should the criteria be to earn it? Nobody's done more in decades to bring peace through to the world than Donald Trump. Yeah. If they want to restore credibility to that prize, he really has earned it, and he should get it.
All right, Congressman, we'll be watching that. Thanks very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. Majority Leader Steve Scalise.